right, good morning everybody. I just wanted to go over a few things here. I know it's been a little while since I've done a video about Nansen, but I'm going to start doing them again. I had some things going on, personal things, but I'm back. So let's just jump right into it. Very briefly, BTC dominance is dipping while ETH BTC is climbing. That's what we want to see for an alt season. The futures market for Bitcoin, you know, we could have a little bit, and there's a little bit of a gap here. I actually haven't drawn this yet. So now we've got a CME gap about right there. You can see it. And we've already dipped into it once, but you know, we could come back down to 114K, possibly even a little bit lower than that, 110K or so before the next push. ETH USDT, it's getting up here to a resistance area, but notice it has hit this resistance area 3 different times here since the top back in 2021. And when that happens, you know, there could be a little bit of a cool off here, like a bull flag, but usually you're going to get a breakout. And then others, this is everything excluding the top 10 of all crypto. So this is a lot of the lower cap tokens. This one seemed, you know, of course it's gotten a buy signal here, and it's a very strong buy signal because it has an AI social intelligence score of 5, and that's the strongest you can get for a bullish signal. And so maybe this thing just comes down a little bit. This is the fear greed Krypton index here. So maybe it curls down here and then rolls up again and it's ready to take off. It is still in the red cloud, so that is still technically bearish, but you know, we're starting to get some buy signals here, so that's good for us. All right, let me see. Okay, so let's talk about some of the tokens that, and again, this is just gonna be a quick video. I'll do a longer one next week. I just want to show you some of the tokens that are showing up over the last 30 days that retail are buying, and then the ones that are smart money are buying. Of course, ETH has been doing very well. DEX flows are almost in the 10 million range, which for ETH, you know, that's not a whole lot, but you know, it's still significant since it wasn't seeing much activity at all for a while there. And then you got things like, well, I think this is a staking coin, this LBTC. I don't know too much about it. Fartcoin. Trying to see some here that we know. Pingu, that's a very good one. SPX has been doing very well. SEI, Popcat, HNT, I think some of you might know. What is that name of that one? I don't remember the name of that one exactly. Anyway, there's some recognizable ones here, and the change in the last 30 days fluctuates. You know, it's anywhere from 50 to 60% for the highest ones. So it's not a huge move, but you know, these are looking at all the caps. If we were to switch it and maybe just look at mid caps, we might see something that's moved more. And we can actually sort by percentage. Yeah, here's one called GP that's actually had a 45x move. But of course you want to find them early, right? And I'm going to show you how to find them early. Pythia, I think this is actually one we track. I didn't realize it had done so well. And when I say we, I mean our Discord group. By the way, for those that are wanting in the Discord group, I still have it closed right now, but I'm hoping we can open it up again next month and start allowing new members again. If you want a Nansen discount, by the way, I'm looking at Nansen. If you want access to this tool, look down in the description below. Everything that I talk about in my videos is in the description below, and it is at a discount. There's even a discount for this. You know, I was showing you where this had buy signals and an AI social intelligence score. This is called Engineering Robo. It's also in the description below on this video, and you can get a 7-day free trial of this. Yeah, so we can look at mid caps, we can look at small caps. It just depends on what you're looking for, right? So Tetsuo, that's a very recognizable one as well. It's done a 5x over the last 30 days. And the way that you would find these early is this. I mean, this is just one of the ways. So we put it on something like, I mean, we could even put it on 24-hour, but we'll start here on the 7-day. We're going to sort by DEX flows, and we want to see things that are starting to get a lot of activity. So BONKSOL has had a lot of activity lately. I can click in and I can look at that one. You don't want to be getting in after the pump's already happened, of course. I mean, this one's only had a 1% gain so far. So if we look at what it has going on here, maybe zoom out a little bit, we can see that it's mostly been sideways, right? I mean, you've got a range where you call this the, well, I really call this the top of the range. And then maybe somewhere here would be the bottom of the range. So you can see mostly it's been bouncing between these areas. it's a little bit in no man's land right now. You know, you'd prefer to be buying down here at the bottom of the range. I mean, that's the smart way to trade, or sell at the top of the range. You know, that's what you really want to be doing. So step out, you know, like take a wider view of the market for this particular coin or whatever coin you're looking at, and then mark the top and the bottom ranges. And the reason why I marked this instead of this one way down here is this is where most of the support is holding. You know, it held right there again. So we could see a little bit of a dip. You know, it's trying to dip now even. Just remember, if you get a big pump out of something, it's usually going to have, you know, at least a 50% retrace. Sometimes just like a 30% retrace. But you can also look at things like, you know, what the holders are doing currently, if they're selling or buying. And I'm just showing you this so you understand how to use Nansen most effectively. What you really want to be looking for when you go to this holders page is you want to see when the token balance, you know, people are starting to buy up this supply, which it really started to, you know, the accumulation got much more aggressive right here, starting on the 13th and then especially on the 19th. And so now it's kind of flattened out up here. Price has continued to go up, but it's dipping a little bit. So I would say, you know, maybe give this one a little bit of time and see if it dips some more. This is a 2x move for these people that bought within the last 30 days. So they may be taking profits here. And we could get a little bit of a dip out of the market, you know, because this is new moon territory, and then the full moon doesn't happen for another week or two, where things would get bullish again. Doesn't mean it has to stay, you know, short-term bearish. It could get bullish all of a sudden, you know, even if it is new moon, especially in a bull market. You know, sometimes it can just pump out of nowhere. But anyway, you get the idea there. You know, you can look at whale activity, smart money activity. Here, the whale started buying on July 13th. So you can see, what did they buy? We went from token balance 10,000 to 19,000. There's a net gain of about 9,000 tokens that went to whale wallets. And of course, it's flattened out now, but you know, the price at the time really hasn't changed at all. It's only gone up just a little bit. So these whales may be willing to just hold on to what they have, assuming things don't, you know, turn around. So let's see, what else did I want to show you? Yeah, so that's small caps. I mean, you could just look at large caps. And you got things like JLP, Floki. I mean, these are very recognizable names, right? They probably started out as a low cap or a mid cap, but now they're, you know, names that are up in the top 100 of the market. And you'll see some new ones, you know, that show up there as well that have done very well over the last 7 days. I've got it on 7 days up here. So technically what I would do in this case is I would look at the 24-hour. You know, 7 day may be too long because the move probably already happened. And then I'll go to something like, I mean, microcaps may be too small because these are brand new tokens. But if you're okay with playing degen plays, then that's fine. You know, you can jump into these plays. But if you want something a little bit more secure, not that any of these are secure, it's just, you know, they've been around a little bit longer. If you see the this new, it's called a seedling emoji. That means this is a new token within the last 24 hours. So that means this token Angstrom has really made a big move. Because now it's considered a small cap instead of just a micro cap. And you've got things like TAO, which is a great project, of course. A lot of people are interested in that. SEI, and we can look at TAO as well. But SEI, I know a lot of you are interested in that. I'll click through on that one as well. We'll look at it. And we'll look at Angstrom and just kind of see what it did. Let's see, make sure there's nothing else there. Maybe we'll see what some mid caps are doing over the last 24 hours as well. What I'm looking for is DEX flows. You know, I'm sorted by DEX flows to where I'm looking at the highest DEX flows over the last 24 hours. That way I know there's a lot of activity, a lot of eyes on that token. I don't want to be buying things that are, you know, going to take a while to move. I want things that'll move right away, hopefully. Colt we've looked at before. KTA we looked at in a video recently, and Syrup. So these three tokens that I just mentioned, you know, these are ones that we looked at early before they made the move. So, you know that these methods work. You don't always have to look at smart money. You know, in general, you don't have to just look at them, and I'm going to show you an example why when we look at some of these tokens I just brought up. but you can click through here on smart money and just look at smart money net flows. Now you're going to see a completely different picture where there's not much activity for smart money in general, because you've got much fewer wallets buying. There's much fewer smart money wallets that are buying. And I think, Nansen's made some really big improvements this year, and I think that you'll really like what they've done, because you're not having to just rely on what smart money's doing. Here, let me show you here on all. We'll look at all the caps, and now it looks a little bit better. And you can see Angstrom's actually number 1 out of everything over the last 24 hours. So that's really impressive. So let's see, what was I gonna show you here? So we'll look at, okay, we looked at BONKSOL already, don't need to look at that. So here's what I was talking about. If we go to holders, and you can do the same thing here with TAO that I was talking about. First, this is an older token, so you're gonna have to zoom out more. Your current range, you could go all the way back to here, but this is from 2023. So technically this is your support way down here. However, because we're in a bull market right now, I'm just looking for, the support for this market, not for 2 years ago or whatever. And you may have to go higher to like, can I go to monthly chart? I don't remember. Yeah. On an older token, you may want to go to monthly chart. It's just going to be easier to, find your levels. So I would call it something like that. Whoops, didn't work. I would call it something like that, roughly. You could even move it up to, I kind of like this better actually. Or this. Anyway, it's somewhere in there. It's not an exact area, it's more of a zone. And then the top of your range, I don't know, I call it something like that. So it's kind of bouncing in between here. Kind of in no man's land again, like that other token we were talking about, BONKSOL. So now if we go back to our daily, and you got your lines, they should show up here again. I figured they would. I don't know why I didn't save it. Anyway, it would be something like this. So you want to see it hold this support line. Actually, maybe a little bit lower than that. Yeah, it's about right there. Yeah, so this is kind of your range, and you'd like, if you were going to buy more TAO, you'd kind of like for this to come down a little bit, right? But we don't know for a fact that it's going to do that. This could be a bull flag. So we'll see how it plays out. It is looking a lot more bullish, but you can see there's definitely a line here somewhere where it keeps rejecting, but that's also like an inverted head and shoulders. So as soon as it gets above that line, it's going to get much more bullish and get up here to the 600, 700 range. But what I wanted to show you is if you go to the holder tab, now we're not having to worry about what smart money's doing. This is what I really like about what Nansen's done. Here I am we'll just look at the last 30 days. You can see there's a lot of accumulation that was happening down here. And then all of a sudden, a lot of people started buying more and more and more. It went from supply owned of 40% to 50%. So there's a 10% gain in supply ownership by the top 100 addresses, which is pretty impressive. And during that time, smart money didn't do anything. So you can see why it's important to look at your top 100. It's just as important looking at this as it is smart money, because sometimes you can get an early move where smart money's not really watching something, or maybe they're not interested in it, but top 100 is, and you can make money off of that. And in that time period, really the price didn't do a whole lot. It started during this accumulation phase back here. It went from 325 to about 425 or so. So it's almost a 2x move. Well, not a 2x move, 30% or so. So not a huge move, but it's a higher market cap, and that happens with them. I'm going to show you one here that I bet we can find one that's had a much bigger move. So this is SEI. It's another fairly high market cap on Ethereum chain. The accumulation on this one is pretty choppy. People were accumulating this dip right here, and this gray line is the price action. Price action's coming down, accumulation is happening, and then all of a sudden somebody decided to sell right before it made the pump, and there were more people selling as it pumped. So there was some profit taking here, but you're starting to see this accumulation again. Remember, this yellow line is the balance. That means that tokens are coming out of the exchange and going into people's wallets. And over the last 30 days, that's really all you've seen is the top 100 addresses buying. But there have been people making profit here for sure. And then here's what we're looking at with Angstrom. This is actually pretty impressive. I talked about how good of a move it made, and let's look at it from an MCAP perspective, a market cap perspective. I'll turn off volume here, I don't really need it. So when this thing launched, it jumped up to 500K market cap pretty quick, and it just never looked back really until it hit like 2.5 million. And I would say this is probably I can't say for certain it is, but to me, this price action so far, I think I can bring up RSI. Yeah. We'll just see if we have any bearish divergences here. I don't think there are any. I would say this is a bearish formation just because, you're getting a lot of rejection up here. There's not as much interest in it and you're losing volume. But we don't know for certain. We need more information. But typically, you get a big move and a dip and then another vertical move like this. It just looks like a bear flag to me, but we'll see what happens with it. There are some other neat features that Nansen has where you can take this candle inspector and you can find out who was buying early to where you don't have to go searching for it. So I clicked on one of these first two candles here. So there's no smart money wallets that we're actually buying here, but you can research these wallets like this medium dex trader right here. They bought a lot of tokens very early. Currently their P&L, P&L 90 days is not huge, but I imagine they made a pretty good gain on this one if they didn't sell too early. But that's what that candlestick inspector or candle body inspector can do for you. You can even look at one later, see if you can find some smart money or something that was buying early. And it's still a lot of medium dex traders that were buying there. So a lot of fresh wallets or a lot of wallets that aren't really considered smart money by Nansen. But they're still good traders, even if they're not labeled smart money. Okay, so on the holders on this one, let's just look at that real quick. And we'll see what they were doing. And since this is a brand new token, it's not going to have anything longer than a 24-hour view. You can see, this is what smart buyers and sellers do, right? They start selling as price goes up. So you can see the balance. This is them selling tokens back to the exchange, the decentralized exchange. That's why this yellow line is going down and price is going up at the same time. So this is how you could use Nansen, as this is playing out. Maybe you bought at 3 a.m. Well, it would have been 3 a.m. my time. But maybe you bought at this time and now you're seeing the balance come down while price is going up. And you're thinking, well, that's a bearish divergence, right? Because, obviously somebody's selling. So I need to pay attention, when price starts coming down for the first time. So maybe you would have sold somewhere up here and made a pretty good profit. But you could have been selling on the way up, to pay yourself. And that's really the best way to do it because you don't know when it's going to turn around. At least take your profits out. Your initial investment out, whatever. Yeah, so I think this is really interesting, what Nansen has done with this. You can even see what smart money was doing. They sold very early. They didn't even hold for this full pump. Actually, somebody's still holding about 3 trillion, and it's this person right here. So, maybe this is a wallet that you want to review and see if they get in early on tokens. They have a 650K P&L over the last 90 days, which is very good. It looks like they don't make many trades either. They have a 51% win rate. Very impressive, I think. I'm just going to look at their wallet. And there is a button here where you can hit deep research and research their wallet. I had somebody in our group that asked me to show them this. It says it failed, but I don't think it did. Anyway, it's in progress. When it's done, it'll tell me. I think it's working anyway. So you can look at things like, what they bought and sold, the things that they made the most profit on, that sort of thing. You can look at their transactions. If you go to the P&L page, it'll show a much more detailed list here. Yeah, it looks like they've done very well for themselves. You can even see what they're holding, their unrealized profits. So they were one of the first buyers of Angstrom, which we know. And if they were to sell right now, they'd make about a 60x profit on it. So not a whole lot of history with this wallet, but it may be one that you want to watch in the future because it does seem that they've done pretty well, at least recently. All right, let's look at a few more of these and then we'll stop. MOG just had a really big dip after a nice move. Let me show like the weekly chart. Yeah, so MOG is getting back into its support levels, which typically is a great place to buy, right? You know, if you were to mark that and say that's your support, and maybe, I don't know, somewhere up here, I mean, you could even put there, I don't know what the range is here yet because it really hasn't done too many moves up there. It could be more like that if you want to put that as your first resistance area. So we'll just call this the range for now. If you think about discounts, this is a huge discount right here if you were interested in MOG. And we can jump over here to holders. And they've just been accumulating right along with the price action. It's mirrored itself. Looks like Smart Money may have some activity here. Yeah, Smart Money's been selling on this pump. And they wanted to take some profits, and they might be slowly accumulating again here. So let's see what happened over the last 24 hours. It's pretty flat. There you go. Over the last 7 days on this dip right here, there was a Smart Money wallet that started accumulating again. Not a whole lot, but they did start accumulating. And you can even see who it was. I think it's this one maybe. Yeah, I think it might be this one. Yeah, this one right here, jcrypto.eth. And you can click through any of these wallets, you know, all that. And OBOL, this is one of the ones, I wanted to show you something here. So Nansen, if you connect your Telegram to your Nansen account on here, you can get access to this Nansen research agent. It's currently experimental, but it uses the Claude technology, I believe. And you can type things like, what are the top smart money inflows this week? And so immediately it tells you the major inflows were Angstrom, which we already looked at, OBOL, which I'm about to look at right now. And then I also asked it, what Ethereum tokens are Smart Money buying right now? Which Angstrom is one of those, OBOL is one of those, Flock. So this is only 2 days old. It's a very new token. Maybe you're getting some early information there. It's a 2 million market cap. What else is here? ENA, what is this one? Oh, so it also tells you notable selling activity. So Smart Money is selling ENA, ATH, WNXM. I don't know a few of those. And then the key insights kind of gives you a summary here. Stablecoin rotation. It seems like they're buying USDC currently while selling other positions. And I can show you what that looks like. If we go back, yeah, it's all the way here on the home page for Nansen. The outgoing balance, meaning that people are taking profits and taking USDC off of the centralized exchanges. That's what this yellow line means when it goes down. So things are probably going to start turning up again soon, within a week or two. Be watching for that. I hope this was helpful for you. Again, I just wanted to make this a quick video. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below, hit the like, all that, subscribe. We will do another one next week, and I'll try to take it more slowly. But I just wanted to do this one quickly for you so we understand how to use some of Nansen's new features. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Thanks.